Hey everybody, welcome back to our new little teaching series that we're going to do once a week. We're going to, as I mentioned last week, cover a variety of topics. We're going to be digging into the essence of Scripture and looking at church history and putting together kind of a very simple, cohesive picture of how the church came to be and how we have essentially the Bible that we have today. And on top of that, why do we as Lutherans do what we do? Why is a liturgical service important? So those are the things we're going to cover in the coming weeks. And we've got, essentially an endless amount of topics to cover. So I'm hoping to do these for a very long time. So last week we started talking a little bit more about the Bible, and we started to look at how it was compiled and built. And we looked at a couple of the interesting facts from this wonderful book that we have. So the Bible, 66 separate books compiled the Old Testament into the New Testament. So we have two, major separations of text. The Old Testament is a primary Jewish holdings. They show the history of Israel, the prophets professing the coming Christ. And then we have the New Testament, which is the life and teachings of Jesus Christ and the apostles taking that gospel message out into the world. So we have two distinct books. Both are extremely important for the Christian today. But sometimes we might get lost in kind of the fact of where did this come from, how do we get it, and why do we even have it today? So to be simply put, this book, we can call it the Canon of Scripture. All 66 books were agreed upon at various councils throughout the history of the church. So if we were to start to paint this picture and put together the pieces of this puzzle, because the Bible didn't just show up one day on our doorstep, right? We had centuries of text being compiled from the Old Testament all the way through the New Testament. The Old Testament were simply kept in scrolls. They were kept in the holdings of the Pharisees and the scribes. And then we move into the time of Jesus, where we see now the apostles going out into the world and writing letters to the churches and explaining exactly what it was that Jesus had taught. So then we get the messages from the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and those four books compile the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Then we move into Acts, which is a demonstration of how the apostles went out into the world and delivered the gospel. And then we move into other books such as Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, and so on, where we see a majority of Paul's letters, who turned out to be the apostle to the Gentiles. So we see that the gospel message is exploding into the world, and it's not just for the nation of Israel, but it's for all people. And so Paul becomes the apostle to the Gentiles, and he takes this message out into so many other countries. And so then we get a lot of his letters that are either confronting false teachings or asserting right doctrine, and then reassuring and building up and edifying whatever church he's writing to. Then we have other letters such as Peter's letters, John's letters, and then we have the book of Revelation, and then we have Hebrews. So we're going to talk, I think, a little bit about those as we go along in this series and just kind of briefly discuss a little bit about them, because I think it would be beneficial if we were to provide just some oversight of those New Testament books, the years they were written, who the author was, very basic fundamental facts to help you understand the authorship and the date ranges of some of these books. But we're talking today strictly on the canon of Scripture. How do we get this Bible? So there were various councils in the early 100 and 200s that came together, and they brought what they had considered to be their canon of Scripture. And some of these councils, they eliminated books such as Hebrews and James, 1st, 2nd Peter, and then even 3rd John. John wrote 3 letters, so 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, they excluded the 3rd letter from John. Then we move into Council of Laodicea, which was only just the New Testament. Then we move into later years, the Council of Hippo, which was in 393, the Council of Carthage at 397, and these affirming the 27 books that we come to know in the New Testament. So we can see that by about 400, we had a compilement of the New Testament. And on top of that, we had already had the Old Testament in existence. And so this is what the church used going forward into the church history. And then obviously with the printing press in the 1500s, that opened the doors for Bibles to be printed on a mass scale and distributed into the people's hands. So that's going to conclude today's little video. I pray that you guys enjoy this content, and we will start to break down some of the New Testament books and date ranges and things like that next week. Until then, I'll see you guys Wednesday for our Wednesday devotional in the book of Psalms, and then Friday for your announcements. Have a great week, and God bless.